This is what you'll see when landing in the main menu. A few options here. Definitely it's worth mentioning that when you turn on your game for the first time, the game will try to adjust the settings, especially the graphic settings, to your hardware. But if you want to change it yourself, you can go to settings and graphics and play around with whatever works best for you. What we found out between the creators is that the best is to actually turn off the maximum FPS, because if you limit them to like 30 or 60, the performance is actually for some reason worse. Also make sure to use Vulkan, it seems to be much more stable, and for the other options it's totally up to you, including turning off animations of the characters if you don't like them. There's also plenty of map options. What I definitely recommend playing around is first of all what kind of map mode you have, meaning that if it's flat or 3D. My recommendation would be to use zoomed out to be flat and zoomed in to be a 3D map. It works pretty well. Second option is subjects using overall name and color. Up to you, you can do it the EU4 settings, you can do the ALED settings from EU4, or you can have blended, so different variations of your country color. And same sizes of cities, buildings, it's totally up to you. I decreased a little bit because they grow really fast, and at one point they just cover all of the provinces. You can also adjust your autosave settings, where you can see how often it's happening, especially outside of Iron Man, and how many autosaves are you gonna keep in the saves folder. Keep in mind the save files are pretty big, between 50 and 100 megabytes, so they're gonna take space. Plenty of settings about the controls, input bindings. As you get more experience, definitely take a look at it, especially if you want to replicate your settings from the EU4, how the general interface looks like how much you have to hover on a tooltip for it to lock, for how long you have to hover on a province to get information about it. All of the settings are here and are totally up to you. Same as the audio settings, and they even added a few more with this not being in the right space. You can browse all of the achievements that are in-game from this screen. 50 of them so far. You can obviously have options about the multiplayer game, but what we will focus on today is starting a new game. You see, when you do it for the first time, you can go for the recommended countries or just select any in the world. And if you want to always have any in the world, you can just click this. But let me show you how the world looks like. When choosing the country to play as, you can jump between the map modes. What's important on the land-based countries map modes, you can also look at the building-based countries if you like to play as Hansa or one of the banks. You can look at the pop-based countries, not playable right now, these are the natives. Or you can take a look at the army-based countries, which is hordes. In the top right corner, you'll be able to see the country selection. This is gonna recommend you the strongest and the most popular countries in the game. If you're looking to find a specific country, like, oh, I would like to play as Shimazu, for example, or I would like to play as Ulm, you can simply look for it, click on a country, and you're gonna get a preview of how much content it has. For example, when I click on Scotland, you'll see that they have 48 dynamic historical events and 18 various country bonuses. You can also preview them by hovering, and when you go to the content over here, you get their full content, how much they have from country bonuses, from being Scottish, being in a Scottish group, from being Catholic, Christian, monarchy, and a settled country. And that works for everyone. You see, these are the Polish bonuses. Even countries with not really its own content, let's say Württemberg, you see they don't have own content, but they have content from their culture, religion group, and the type of the government that they are having. This will be pretty important for you to choose the country that will be playing for the first time. You can also look at game rules. Obviously, you can just simply go ahead and enable Iron Man to see what settings are required. You can set up the difficulty, if the AI is historical or not, can you change the countries in the middle of the game. Mission packs are disabled for the Iron Man, but when you play for the first time, I recommend using them because they help you just learn the game through these missions. And same, you can also set up some flavor settings, like what kind of formables available, who is colonizing, how you can culture convert or change your religion. Even Byzantium name is an option. If we talk about the general UI, in the top right corner you'll be seeing which great power you are and also current loyalties of all of your estates. If it's green, it means it's above 50, if it's red, it is below 50, and you'll be also changing how much it is changing monthly. Hovering on any of these icons will give you more information. Why you're this great power, what is impacting your equilibrium, or even what's the power share between the different estates. And clicking on these icons, you also see that can have also some impact. Like I click this, I go to the estates. I right click on the estate, I can bribe it from here without going deeper. I want to add a new privilege, I can left click. Then on the top, same as in EU4, be having your different resources like money, and again more details when you click on it, stability, population, you can even see go to the population map, legitimacy, prestige, diplomats, war exhaustion, manpower, and also sailors will be here. Just below that you'll be having different notifications. You know, if you're lacking some goods, the wars that are currently ongoing, if any law is to be codified, also something to do with your diplomats, and many other to-dos, like cabinet member not doing something, or not having a cabinet member, or issues that are currently ongoing in the country. Wars and situations will be having priority. So for example, right now there's a situation about colonial revolution going on. You can click on it to get more knowledge about that. In the top right you'll be having current age, you can hover on it to get more information about that, obviously the time and date, and what advance is being currently researched, when it's gonna be researched. What I like is clicking on any of these icons, have some action items, which wasn't really possible in EU4, for example. So that's a huge step up. Just below the age, you'll be also having various other elements like your automations, Europedia, which is much better than it was, but still, you know, not having, for example, events or the trigger modifiers, or not full information about the modifiers. Hints, which you might definitely use early on to understand the game better, just like you would read EU4 wiki, you can just read it here. Also simply finding locations, you can also just click F to find this right away. The ledger, which is very detailed, especially for the modifiers, which you can simply search for, which you couldn't in EU4. And obviously on the very right you'll be having the outliner. I'll talk about the outliner a bit later, because first I want to walk you through various features before I talk about the outliner. When in game, I definitely recommend looking at the automations, which are based here. Here you can decide which portions of your country will be done by the AI. It is quite good, definitely better than a player that is playing for the first time, but of course it is not gonna be as good as a very experienced player, which I think is a good solution and allows you to, when you learn the game, to just focus on specific aspects of the game, like, oh, early on I don't want to handle trade, don't handle the trade. I don't want to handle the buildings, don't handle the buildings. I don't want to handle production methods, don't handle it. Just let the AI do that and do the other stuff yourself. You see there's plenty of choices from the automations. For example, I always like to replace admirals and generals option just to not micromanage it. And some of the automations can be even automated partly. Like for example, trade. You can only also do that per trade node, or you can lock specific trades out of the automation. You can browse various map modes at the bottom of your screen. I'm actually gonna release a guide on each of the map modes and telling you how to best read them, but the map modes will be definitely a key to your success to properly use them. When we go to our government and estates, this is gonna be crucial part of our country management, especially at day one to set this up. Each country will be starting with multiple privileges, some of them being unique for the country, like you see for example Polish merchant seal. Usually the privileges will be giving bonuses to your country, but sometimes also minuses, like you see nobles satisfaction equilibrium here. They will be impacting both loyalty equilibrium and influence of a state, and the more influence all of the states have, the lower your crown power is gonna be, which as you see, the lower it is, the more minuses you're gonna be getting. On the crown you'll be able to pick up your government reforms. As Poland I start with 2 locked, but in some of the countries you'll be able to choose some by yourself. And my general recommendation for the estates is to give additional privileges to most of the estates, at least to get their satisfaction equilibrium above 50 and ideally even more, so you can get them bigger taxes, or even when you tax them at the maximum, you can also get positive satisfaction, because the higher satisfaction of the estate is, the better bonuses you get. As you see here, when I hover, each of them is giving you various bonuses. The most important is duchowieństwo, so clergy, that gives you research progress, but definitely I'll recommend looking at that as it's super useful. And then, the more above 50% of the loyalty the estate has, the more likely there is that they're gonna spend their money on positive buildings for the country, not estates specific buildings. So, taking a privilege, it is gonna, as you see, increase loyalty of that specific estate and decrease loyalty of all the other estates. So be careful about that. Same, each of the privileges that you're gonna take is gonna take 5 of your legitimacy. Try avoiding dropping below 30 legitimacy, as that's gonna load a disaster. What you'll also notice is that each of the privileges, most of them, is gonna change your societal values. Early on it might be over complex when you're getting started, but over time when you get more experience into the game, start looking at it to, shape your societal values in the right directions. I'll talk about the societal values in a moment. You also notice here that you will be able to bribe the estates for a lot of money, that really is costly, to increase their satisfaction in case a civil war is coming because of the low satisfaction. So here's me with a few of the privileges already given. This increased the equilibriums of each of the estates. What I will then recommend to do is to automate taxation of most of the estates, usually not clergy. I tax them usually at 0 for the research progress speed, and you'll see that it will automatically get the taxation to a level where the equilibrium of the estates is gonna be at 50%, or at the maximum that you can tax. As you see, equilibrium for Szlachta is higher at max taxation, so I'm just taxing them at max. What we'll also want to do here is usually to take the diplomatic spending to 0, or to the level where you're not gonna be over your diplomatic capacity. Poland starts with subjects, so it has to spend a bit of money to not get over the limit. Definitely also turn off your forts and get the minting to a level where you're not getting any inflation. What is also usually important in early game is to make sure that you spend as much as possible on both your stability and the courage, because that's gonna increase your stability increase as well as legitimacy respectively. And that's for 2 reasons. Obviously having these 2 at max is gonna give you various bonuses like pop join rebels threshold, estate satisfaction, pop promotion speed, that is very important, and some other bonuses. But then when you reach this at 100, the cost of maintaining it is gonna be much lower, so you're actually gonna start saving money while getting all of these bonuses. What will be also happening here is various different sources of income and spending. So for example, see that I'm getting money from my subjects, I'm getting money from selling food, but I might be also losing money from selling food depending where you are and what your provinces are doing. Many buildings will have their costs, as you see here. Everything will be visible in this place, like also loans, etc. If you want to take a loan, this is gonna be available here, but keep in mind the base interest here is much higher than in EU4, it's 10%, so be cautious about taking loans. What you also see here is tax efficiency, so how efficiently you're taxing your estates. You wanna definitely increase that over time, and there are various sources like laws and privileges and advances. And you also see your base tax here, so it's pretty much kinda production of the locations impacted by the autonomy. So the tax base and then autonomy. For example, Zlewikk, since it has 70% of control, it has by 30% decreased tax base. And even if you have tax base, you see then it is being spread towards each of the estates. So the total taxes that you're getting in the end from this location is 0.64, even though the tax base is 2.2. Crucial aspect of the game that will be the most used by you is gonna be the cabinet. Cabinet, it's hard to actually compare to something because it's not advisors. Advisors just gave you bonuses in the EU4. Here you use cabinet to do various important actions. And let me load a bit farther into the game save game, where you see the cabinet members can be used most importantly to integrate a province. So when you conquer a province, you have to integrate it to then get it into a core. That's what the cabinet members are gonna be doing. You can also use it for various things like changing your associated values, about which I will talk soon. Developing a province works a bit differently. It's more like a location capacity. You can improve your diplomatic reputation, improve relations. You can encourage migration to a province. You can increase control in the province. Plenty of stuff, and over time you will be also unlocking new things to be done via the cabinet and also new cabinet members. So in late game you'll be having like 8 to 11 or even more of cabinet members to handle stuff. Also unlock stuff like integrating the whole area, not just a province, or assimilating the whole area, not just a province. That's actually from a hegemony. Something that I usually recommend doing at the start of the game is using your cabinet members to stabilize country and strengthen the government, so this way you increase your stability and legitimacy to the maximum faster. And what will be impacting the efficiency of the cabinet member will be multiple things. It's your ruler stats. You see, it's half of your ruler stat that is giving efficiency. King Kazimierz here has 100, so I get plus 50% efficiency of that cabinet member. Then there'll be associated values and laws that will be impacting this. Your crown power is gonna increase that. And then also half of your advisor's skills. You see, this advisor has 55 mil skills, so it gets 27.5 additional efficiency. You can also assign a specific cabinet member to be head of the cabinet, which is gonna give him additional efficiency. So at the start it will be useful to stabilize the country and get legitimacy. When you conquer lands is to integrate them, and then when you want to turn a land that is integrated but not a core yet, you can go ahead and assimilate pops to your culture, because you need at least half of the pops in a specific location to be your or accepted culture to turn from integrated location to actually core location. This game does not have technologies, instead it is having advances, which is, to be honest, a much better system than I expected, and a much better system than it is the technologies from EU4. You see, the game has 6 of the ages, each of them having 3 institutions. In each of the age you will be having an automatically unlocked tree by just getting into a specific age. Like over here I have that tree on the right hand side that is unlocked by default, and the other 3 trees in the age will be unlocked with each of the institutions. Over here you can search by an advanced name, but also I believe a bonus that it gives. So for example, I'm looking for something that gives me proximity cost. You see, it is showing me, oh, this privilege is gonna give you proximity cost. So that is pretty good. That's one of my first suggestions that I made when I got access in May. And I love that it was introduced here. We'll be also seeing that some of the advances are having tags, like this is available for here because you're a monarchy. This is available because you are a Catholic. This is available for you because you are Poland. So very unique advances will be also highlighted. What will impact how fast you're getting the advances is your research progress, which is impacted mostly by your clergy satisfaction, your literacy, which can be increased by various also laws, privileges, but most importantly buildings, and many other bonuses that will be stacking that research progress to get the advances faster. And if you're taking advance from previous ages, they're gonna be also taken faster than the current age. Also importantly, you can, create a whole queue of the advances that you'll be taking, so that's lovely. And in each of the ages, since we talk about the ages, you see when you hover, you'll be also getting an understanding what is happening in that age, how many advances there are, how many you got, what kind of institutions there are, where they spawned, what guarantee forms are being unlocked in that age, and what country bonuses and minuses are happening in that age, like for example increased antagonism from religion or decreased levy combat efficiency in that age. I was mentioning associated values before. That's a concept that is coming back from EU3, much more complex and more interesting. So associated values will be kinda a setup of your country, where, oh, are you centralized or decentralized? Are you innovative or traditionalist? And each of this will be giving some bonuses and minuses depending on which side you're getting, which is always a choice in your game plan. Okay, towards which societal values am I going? So this, I would say, is something for like if you play at least one campaign, or like at the end of your first campaign to start figuring out. It might be a bit too complex early on, but it is definitely a crucial aspect for the efficient gameplay to plan your societal values from day one of the campaign. So this way you can shape your privileges that you're taking, laws that you're taking and changing to get the right bonuses. So you see here in my Polish campaign, I'm going towards centralization to get crown power and proximity cost. I'm going towards belligerent to get less AE for taking lands and get province war score cost. Going towards offensive to get siege ability and assault ability. And there will be plenty of stuff that we'll be taking, and you see that these little icons will be telling you towards which direction it is going and how fast it is going towards specific direction. Then you'll be seeing what is impacting this and what you can do to actually switch it to the other side. But even if associated value is changing, like here 0.35 each month, you see there will be modifiers where it cannot push farther than a specific value. So even though it will be blockers to how far you can get for just, you know, monthly movement, you'll be able to still impact this by various ways like events and most importantly parliament. So see, when I call the parliament here in Kraków, you will be seeing that when I take one of the agendas, there will be agendas here from each of the states, and they often will be changing those associated values. So see here towards land, here towards traditionalist, here is for example just simply to reduce opinion of someone. And since we are on the parliament, you can call it every 5 years, and if you don't call it for 10 years, you're gonna get insane negative modifiers. So remember to call it. I call it every 5 years because you simply can get nice bonuses like here. Oh, I need diplomats, I can get diplomats. You can get increased integration, cost of building roads, getting more manpower, various bonuses for just an agenda ongoing for the specific parliament. Another bonus for completing it. This is, you see, where issue is ongoing. This is what happens when I complete it. When you fail at the issue, which happens, you'll just lose some stability. Then if you have at least 50% of parliament support, you see you can do various actions here. Like for example, having for 1 year increased maximum tax, or to fabricate a Casus Beli. And this is gonna be usually the main source of your CB in the early game to even mid game to declare on the other countries. You can also ask for increased amount of the levies or to change your laws. And that's usually something that I'm using early on to adjust my laws to change societal values and the bonuses. And since we talk about the laws, let me go straight to them over here. You see there will be plenty of laws in the country that are pre-set up in 1337. There will be also unlocking more laws over time with mostly the advances, but sometimes also dynamic historical events. And you see each of them is gonna give you some kind of bonuses and minuses. For example, if I go to administrative laws, and here you see the autonomous councils is giving me decentralization and legislative efficiency. So if I want to go towards centralization instead, to change my societal value and get efficiency of the cabinet, I can go to this. But what you notice is that you don't change the laws manually, it just kills your stability. This is minus 100 stability. Instead, use the parliament to change your laws over time. So if you go back to the estates, cancelling the privileges is gonna take a lot of stability. The more of influence the estate has, the more stability it takes. But some smaller estates, like you see here, 50% for clergy, 37 for burghers, and 12 for the peasants. It is doable, but you normally don't really want to cancel the privileges. Buildings. You've got a few hundred buildings available in game, and you can access them in the buildings tab or on a specific locations tab, especially if you click here on the tax base. But I normally pull it on the macro builder here. You see you can automate buildings for specific markets, or you can just automate them in general. By default, you'll be seeing how many of each buildings you have, and this is sorted by the amount of them. You can also sort by the maximum profit coming from the building. In this screen you can also subsidize buildings if they're crucial for the economy and the stability of the country, but they're not making enough money. Here you also have the employment system. You can choose if it's first come first serve, equality, most profitable first, or infrastructure, the most profitable. The buildings can be searched by the building name, like for example I want a marketplace, and you see it's gonna appear here, or you can search by a specific bonus that it's giving. Oh, I'm looking for buildings that give me proximity, and you see I can choose, oh, I want a proximity cost building. You see there's not really a one that I could get, but this way you can search for whatever you're looking for. You can also search by the name of the goods. Oh, for example, do I have anything that produces dice? Yes, there's a die maker that is producing the dice. You can also toggle between different types of the looks. For example, you can have a cards display where it's sorted by the types of the buildings. For example, all of the religious buildings would be here, infrastructure, etc. You can also look at the foreign buildings. You see there's some Hansa in my country, and the estates buildings. What is very useful in this game is when I click on a specific building, you see there will be a what's called mass build. So that's for you to not micromanage where everything is being built. Even if you don't have time for this, you can just click on this to build buildings on wherever it is the most profitable. Then you can also choose the production methods, definitely automated early on, but later in the game you might, with more experience, try taking care of it yourself. You again see that I can also specify it for chosen market, so if I just want to see the most profitable in Kraków, I could do it like I did here. Another way of getting buildings, especially the goods related wise, is going to the goods and looking for the good that you want to improve. You can, for example, sort by the profit, and you can sort by the buildings, or RGOs. RGOs are research regarding operation, so pretty much like salt mine. You see, I can just also click on it and go ahead to mass expand it. What's interesting, if you go to the RGO builder, you can actually mass expand any RGOs sorted by the profit. This is especially useful in early game where RGOs are available. You know, over time you not have available RGOs levels, or they'll be unlocking slowly, and that is usually what is gonna get your economy higher early in the game when you don't have many towns and cities. About that, you will have three types of the locations. Cities that are the strongest, they give you a lot of more of control, allow you to build non-rural buildings. To build them you need a lot of money and at least 30,000 population. Then you'll be having towns which, as you see, give lower bonuses, like less amount of control, but they unlock the same buildings as city, and they cost much less, and I think you need only 5,000 population to get it. And finally, by default, you'll be having a lot of rural settlements which are mostly focused on the RGOs and food production. The game will be having dynamic markets, which I can access in the markets map mode. What will be impacting if the specific locations for a specific market is the distance for that market, capital, market attraction of your market. For example, it is the most easy to just simply get your lands into your own market, but sometimes you can also get foreign lands, just like over here, depending on that market attraction. For example, here in my Polish game, I have Kraków and Kiev in my hands already. If you want, by right-clicking, you can relocate your market to a different location, or you can even destroy it, but that costs a lot of stability. When you click on a specific location, you can also, as you'll see, with the right-click, build a new market. And that might be important because you'll see the more far away from the market capital you are, the less market control you have, which is decreasing the actual production of the goods in that specific location. There will be various ways to access the UI of trading. If you want to do it a bit lazy way, you can go to your economy and trading. Here you can jump between the different markets. Here so you can choose how much of your trade is being automated. You can also automate just part of it. You can mark which trades are locked from the automation. So if you just want, oh, I really need this gold, but everything else AI can handle, that can be done. The most lazy way of handling your trade is simply to go to the last two tabs over here, which is suggested import by profit. See how much you're gonna profit from that import, and suggested export by profit. So just, you know, the ways to get the most of your money, and that's gonna be the usual trading you'll be doing when you're getting started with the game. Obviously, it's not as simple as just getting more money, less money, because the trade is dynamic, you know, meaning that the prices will change depending on demand and supply of the goods. So Sometimes, you know, the price if you in your market will be very high because you have high demand and low supply. But if you import too many of these goods, you can decrease that price so much the import will be no longer worth it. So definitely treat it as a sandbox and play as much as possible with it to get experience. Early on you can just automate it and then just simply look what AI is doing, try replicating it and getting it better. What AI is good at is to get just the most profitable trade routes for your economy, which is great to just make more money. But sometimes you'll need more strategic decisions on your trade. And that's, for example, you know, when you're planning to build roads, let's say I want to build road here, you'll see that the price of the building the road is going to be impacted by the prices of lumber, masonry, sand. So I might, for example, right now go ahead and import more masonry to reduce its price in the market and make the construction of the roads cheaper. And might be the same for some building types or even constructing cities. How you can more manually approach your trades is to go to the market screen and click on your market. You see the status of all the goods, like how much of supply you have, how much of demand, and what is your goods balance. So, for example, you might want to go ahead and sell the goods where the price is much lower than the equilibrium. So the default price of, in this case, wool is 2.5, but in the Kraków market it only costs 1.02. So you can take a look if we could export it to some other markets to make money. Well, to do that I need to first unlock some trade capacity, so maybe let's cancel this trade so I can nicely show you how it works. And now just take a look. If I want to export wool, you see there will be some market where it is worth it, but not really. Everyone in Europe has a lot of wool. Salt is more likely to be good because it's quite needed in Europe. And you see, for example, in the Praha and Kyiv markets, I can make good money from the fact that I produce so much salt in Poland. And same for the strategy goods. We could take a look at what I don't have much. For example, we need fish, but it's more like food. It's not that needed. Like I told you, masonry. You see the balance is at around the zero, so I might want to import from the markets where the price is cheaper than ours. Like you see here, it's 0.69. Obviously, the distance will be also important for this import, especially for the trade goods that are having a high transport costs. What's important to note is that it's good to keep your stockpile of the foods on the positive balance, because if it starts running out, you might get your provinces to starve, which you rather don't want to happen. For the diplomacy, you don't have static diplomats, just like in EU4, you have diplomats that are increasing monthly by basic values, but also depending how much you are spending your money on these diplomats. And the diplomats might be also used by various actions that are ongoing. Like you can see, I'm losing 0.25 for improving relations. But it could be, you know, also building spy network, annexing a subject. It all takes the monthly diplomats, and also then any action that you do to another nation. Like for example, I wanted to go to Lithuania and do something friendly, like offering an alliance. You see that this is gonna take me 1 diplomat. You see also that it was saying that it's gonna take my diplomatic capacity. Yes, all of the subjects, allies, and various relations will be taking your capacity. And you see, the bigger the nation is, the more capacity they take. Like, for example, see Hungary alliance is 1.1, while Lithuania is 0.67 because they're a bit smaller. And again, the capacity is impacted by various things, including how much you spend on your diplomacy. There will be plenty of ways on how to do diplomacy with the other nations. You can right-click on a specific nation to just get you see the recommended actions, but if you go to open all diplomatic actions, you'll be having all the various options. How many do we have? It's 20, 28, 31, 41, 49, 51, 52 different actions that I can do just with Lithuania. It's probably gonna be more with some of our subjects. We can also do diplomacy from your diplomatic tab over here, where you see you can just choose a specific action, and you'll be seeing targets across the whole world that are eligible to do this specific action. So it's kind of diplomatic macro builder. You can also manage your subjects and even give them specific stances, like being passive, and you can create the new subjects. This could be historical subjects. You see the whatever lands they're gonna get is gonna be highlighted, or custom subjects. How it works, they're gonna just get one specific province. Again, we also have plenty of international organizations. This could be stuff like HRE, a specific church, like in this case Catholic Church, you'll be able to interact with that specific international organization from this screen. You see I also have union with Halle that is available here, which will be having its own policies like centralization that is gonna get me towards being able to annex them. You can also look who are the great powers that you are seeing. This few guys are the great powers, this 3 to be exact, and list of all of the international organizations that you are aware of. What will be appearing here will be the hegemons. Let me show you them. This is my Ottoman campaign. When I go to diplomacy tab here, you see there are the hegemons which are unlocked in the, I think, 3rd age, so age of discovery. We'll be having 5 tabs of the hegemons, and you can have multiple hegemonies, just like I do here as the Ottomans. You can take a look what the hegemony is giving. The bonuses are not as strong as in EU4, which is great because you can stack multiple hegemonies. And what is the power ranking of the hegemons? What's important, only great powers can be hegemons, so if you have higher income, why not a hegemon? The game doesn't care. My favorite is definitely the cultural hegemon, because it gives you assimilate area option, and military, because it gives you war score cost. Okay, how do you get a CB? Well, sometimes you get it from the event, but it's quite rare. The most usual way of getting a CB is gonna be the parliament that I was just mentioning to you to get a claim on a specific nation. You will be able also to build spy network, and then with enough of spy network you'll be able to create CBs on the different nations. You also see on a specific nation what kind of CB you can create, so it could be like humiliating a rival. You don't have it by default, you have to get spy network and then actually create the CB, which also takes time with enough spy network. You can have religious war, which can be unlocked via an advance early on. You could have trade conflict, and then in the mid and late game you'll be also unlocking more standard advances like well known to us imperialism. Regarding war, is actually my Polish campaign, and I'm gonna regret, but I'm gonna just declare on any nation I have CB on. That's most likely a lost war, but when you're declaring the war, you see you can choose who's gonna participate, just like in EU4. You can make guys co-belligerent, you can call in your allies, you can promise them land with this button here, and then obviously choose the Casus Belli. Now, in early stages of the game, during the wars, you'll be pretty much purely using your levies. To get the levies done, you can just go to your military screen and left click to see where you can raise levies, or right click on it just to simply raise all of them. Same at the end of the war, you'll be able to right click that same button to get rid of all of those levies. You also see that the levies are taken directly from your population, so these people will be taken from this 1.3 million, you see minus 13,000, and then whoever leaves till the end of the war, they'll be brought back to the population. Now, there are a lot of nice things about the army. You see when I get that army and right click on mine, it is gonna have an objective, join unit, so even if that unit will start moving somewhere, the army will be following. If you right click on an enemy army, there'll be another objective that is gonna be automatic there to chase the enemy. And this is especially very useful with so many locations in game that it will be helping you to chase. It's not always perfect, sometimes better to do it manually, but with a lot of micromanagement it helps. Same, when you click on the objectives of specific army, you can do many more, like for example focus siege, to in specific areas, provinces, to simply, you can see the province per area or per location, to simply focus on first of all forts and then capitals of provinces to get them siege and not split the stack. Alternatively, you could set it up to defend home territory or defend coast, knowing that you have enemies that will be landing, or carpet siege actually, and this is gonna start automatically splitting the stack to carpet siege the new lands. There will be plenty of CTAs here, I'm just gonna briefly walk you through that. That's not a military guide, I would have to do it separately in the future. You'll be having a way to split the stack in half, balance the unit. This is very important. You don't want to have all of the units in one flank. You don't want to have any flanks empty. That's pretty much almost sure that you're gonna lose the battle if your flank is empty, because it's not fighting, and the 3 flanks of the enemy you'll be fighting your 2 flanks. And plenty of other stuff like consolidating regiments. Keep doing that for the levies, so they fight with the full strength. embarking army, detaching siege, detaching support, separating levies from standing army, allowing attachment, attaching, and many other actions like even automatically refilling garrison when a fort is being sieged down. Definitely take a look at this to understand what these buttons are doing and just learn it slowly over time. In this case, I'm gonna go and bring all of the troops to join this stack. So you see when they come here, the unit will be pretty big, so big it is actually getting attritioned. You also see that the unit will be having food, they have a capacity that they can cover. You can get specific units that will be covering more food for this army. Now there will be different types of locations you want to siege. Like you'll see there will be the locations with flags, this will be capitals of provinces. Sieging this down will be getting the whole province into your ownership. And second type will be forts. Like just you see, my allies are sieging this fort right now. So, look, sieging this down is gonna start slowly sieging locations of that province. And you'll be seeing what's happening. Over here, when I click on the siege button, I'll be able to take a look what's the siege progress. See, minus 35%. What kind of different dice rolls, what kind of chance of finishing the siege they give. What is your latest dice roll, what's the siege progress accumulation, fortifications level, bonuses from your artillery, and if the walls are breached. You can also see how much of garrison it is. You have to try out, but in general don't rush full garrisons early on. This one is only 40 people of garrison, so I can freely go ahead and assault that fort. That lost me almost 1,000 people, but that was definitely worth it to speed up the progress here. Well, we need to find the enemy so I can show you the battle, but again, it's not a deep guide. I just want to show you the basics so you see how it works. Okay, I got by an accident pulled here. In general, the battles used to be much faster, but they slowed them down like 2 weeks ago. Not even 2 weeks, probably like over a week ago. Maybe they're a bit too slow, but they're nice. You see the general stars, how good they are. You are also seeing what flanks are fighting, that's green. What flanks is not filled yet, that's yellow. Or what flank is already dead, and that will be red. Once you click on the battle, you get more details. You see the battles will be having left flank, center flank, and right flank. By default, each flank will be facing each other, but if the flank in front of you dies, you're gonna start attacking the flank next by. So that's why I told you don't want to have one of the flanks being empty. Before the battle even starts, there's bombardment phase, so if there's artillery, they will be bombarding each other, and after that, units will be coming into the battlefield. The more initiative you have, the faster they will come, and also there will be unit types with the faster initiative, like light cavalry or archers, that will be first on the battlefield, and after them, everyone else will be slowly coming in. Each of the flanks has also some reserves, they will be refilling. You see when I unpause, we'll be seeing the morale progress, amount of the people, they run away fast. Again, play around with the battles and get a better understanding, get a better grasp of what works how. In general, for the first few ages, up until even Age of Reformation, mid of it, pretty much all warfare will be based on the levies. It is useful to get some manpower troops, as they might be better at sieging forts because they have artillery, or even assaulting forts, and that they can refill during peacetime. Levies don't refill, and standing army only refills in your own lands. Keep that in mind, that occupied lands or enemy lands don't refill the standing armies. Then also with each age, you see there will be levy combat efficiency modifier and levy's size and maintenance. If I go to one of the other ages, like Age of Absolutists, you see the levy combat efficiency is minus 40%. So it gets worse and worse and worse over time. Again, I don't want to make it an hour guide, but in the advances, you'll be able to also unlock buildings that give you manpower. If you, for example, if you go to Age of Renaissance, Armory, you see there will be buildings that if you build, they will be giving you monthly manpower, and the more monthly manpower you get from these buildings, the higher max manpower your is. You see the units maintenance will be also taking manpower, and then you'll be recovering every month from the buildings production. This allows you to give you a bit better choice of the units that you are getting in the regulars. You have be having pretty big choice of infantry, cavalry, artillery, and auxiliary units that you can recruit based on your bonuses. There will be plenty of unique units for many nations, like I have Janissaries, for example. Not going deeper into that, definitely play around with these options, and if you're starting army. You'll see that regiments will be much different than the levies. Levies regiments are 1,000 for the infantry. You see, even in 1577, infantry has 400 regiment size. That's why also levies are so powerful early on, because they're just much bigger. Even if the standing army fights better, the regiments are abysmal. One more tip is that when you hover over a specific army and you want to understand is your enemy using levies or not, you can just hover. You'll be seeing these are levies, these are regular regiments, these are mercenaries. That's also a great indicator to understand it. And same if you click on any other country, like for example, you want to understand France, even hovering over a country. I hover over France, you see they're slightly stronger. A lot of comparison will be visible here. So for example, I can hover over the army and see that they have 200,000 available levies. I'm having 270,000, and for the regulars, they having 11,000. I'm having 31,000 of the regulars, and also how much manpower both of us have. That might be useful to just understand what's the military potential of your army, especially that this screen is often lying. That's just better to go for that comparison. Regarding peace deals, when you go ahead to send a peace to a specific nation, in the war screen there will be plenty of information like what's the current war score, what is impacting that, who is actually having the war goal achieved, how many troops they have and how many they've lost, battles information, information about the troops of each of the sides, navies, the war enthusiasm, etc. You can deeply take a look on what's actually happening. And when you click to peace out, over here, or when you right click on a country to show peace here, there's a lot of peace options. Obviously, from taking lands to subjugating to blocking some buildings, humiliating, asking them to destroy a fort. You see dismantle the fortresses. I should use it more, to be honest. Cancelling subjects, liberating countries, core treaties, or a lot of other treaties like regarding food, alliances, etc. There's a vast amount of the options that we'll be having here, and definitely play around. The screen itself is very similar to E4. You can clear the amount, you can ask to suggest the offer, you can give money, you can see the antagonist impact, and the total cost of peace. So for example, if you take this lands, or they're not gonna accept anything, if I take some lands, you will see that there will be antagonism taken from it, and you'll be seeing each of the nations how much antagonism they will receive, this is the number, and how much they will have in the result of that. So when I send that peace deal and go to antagonist map mode, you'll be also understanding what is your antagonist towards different nations. If it's above 50, they can join the coalition, and if they don't have the truce, and they will pretty much always join if it's above 50. And when you hover on the nation, you can understand what is impacting the antagonist, because it's not like in EU4 that is just Axis expansion, it's also other modifiers that impact. It's like different religion group, different government type as you see, different social values, and what's important, improving relations of the country is reducing the antagonism. So that is something that definitely you should use in your campaigns. Outliner will be a very important tool to manage your country efficiently. You see, I'm actually using the observer games to show you some of the elements of the game, because you guys complained we didn't show in the videos on the 31st October late game. I'm showing a bit more now. So Outliner, first of all, it can be bigger or smaller, depending how much you need it. Smaller version is great to just see key information. Bigger is definitely much better to action from it. And you can also set up what exactly is there. It's similar to E4, but there's many more options, as you see on what you're doing. For example, early on, I like to include construction, but in mid-late game, I'm turning them off because you often construct over 100 buildings at the same time, so it spams your outliner. And same as for the other UI elements, all of this is totally clickable. Like I want to go to the army, I can double click. I want to open trades in a specific market, I can just click on it, or even have some options if I right click. I want to action with my cabinet members, I can click on a guy, right click to replace him, I can left click on the action to change what he's currently doing. That saves you a few clicks versus, you know, going to your government, then going to the cabinet, and then clicking here. You can just do it directly from the outliner. Same, cancelling the constructions or actioning on the rebels. This can be done here. This is a very useful tab to be aware of what's happening to the rebels. And same the diplomacy, you can also action it by cancelling, for example, from this exact screen. Make sure that you get familiarized with the outliner, you adjust it to your needs, and this will speed up your gameplay for sure, instead of going, deeper to the UI elements here. Obviously, early on, it is good to explore where exactly is the cabinet, parliament, etc. But over time, you want to use the outliner more and more. The game is also having a nice geopolitics tab, which is showing information about the diseases. You see, in our country, we've lost 1 million population over time via various diseases. And you have a share, bubonic plague, killed 700,000 people, but I also have 128,000 losses from smallpox and typhus. You'll be able to also take a look at each of the specific ones. When the bubonic plague is around, you can also make some actions like isolating your court, or taking some other actions to reduce the chance of getting the deaths from the specific disease. There'll be also buildings. You see when I type this, disease resistance. Hospital is the most default building that you have from the start of the game. That helps with that. But then you also unlock some other buildings like Lazaretto, for example, which as you see gives 25% disease resistance. But both are only available in the non-rural locations. The game also has a different exploration mechanics. So if I go to Geopolitics and Territory again, you see I can start exploration of a specific area. In this case, how about we explore the Bengal area? I can choose which locations exactly I want to start from. See, it is highlighted. So for example, I want to start from here, Suakin. I can choose an explorer, which can be any character in the game. And you see various skills of your guy is gonna give you various bonuses. In general, I recommend to sort by military guy because exploration monthly progress is gonna make the total cost lower than just the starting exploration cost. So let me pick on this, and you see this guy for the next 232 days will be preparing for the exploration, which is about to end in November, and then he's gonna start exploring. Separate topic will be to start colonization, so let me actually jump on a country that can do that. When you don't play on Iron Man, and that's my recommendation for your early games, you can just click escape and click on the world map, which allows you to jump between the countries in the world and just decide and take a look what the other AIs are doing, how much content they have. You just have to make sure that in the game rules you are allowing to switch the country. So I can go ahead and play as Castile, just look, okay, how is this AI doing? What made their base tax so high, etc. So if I go through their geopolitics and colonies, you see the plenty of the colonies. It is actually already started. How about you find something? Yes, I can create a new colonial charter. I can choose from which province the population will be coming. So you can, for example, depopulate a province that you don't like, regarding what kind of people are living over there. And you'll see that this location will be then progressing over time. If I show you an existing charter, for example here, and this is already ongoing, and it is already in the hands of Castile because most of the population in that location is already ours. When you finish colonizing a province, you will be getting a choice. Let me just go speed 5 to show you that. Yeah, you see when the province colonization is finishing, you can decide, okay, what do I do with this? You can create a new colony subject just out of this one province. You can release a new colony there and switch to play as it. You can keep it in your own hands, or you can join that province to one of the existing colonies that is bordering it. Pretty nice choice. I feel like it's a bit more flexible than what you have in the EU4. Anyway, this is it for today. I told you this is the very beginners friendly guide. I wasn't going too deep into any of the features, just giving you general tips and how the stuff works. I will be jumping deeper into many of these features in the separate videos. Otherwise, this video will be a few hours long. Definitely the next guide video that I will be releasing is top 15 things that I wish I knew when I first played EU5, so you can learn on my mistakes and on my learnings over time. For today, thanks for watching, make sure to subscribe if you think that was helpful, And of course, I'm gonna see you very soon in the next content. Bye!